Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Close Traffic Podcast. I hope each and every one of you is doing well. I'm hearing echoes. Give me a second here. There we go. Oh man, welcome back to the Close Traffic Podcast. Today's live episode, man. I'm excited for this one, gents. I am excited for this one. We've got a lot to we're live. we've got a lot to unpack here this morning, this afternoon, this evening, depending on where you are, and I am looking forward to it. Without further ado, let me introduce my co-host, man. Let's start with the one and only Charlie, man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm doing good. How about you guys?
Living a dream.
That's right.
Man. Living a dream.
That's what matters, man.
Exactly. I see you got your nice little setup there in the background. I love every time I see that desktop, man. I'm just like, man, Charlie built himself a real one. Looking good. How's it treating you these days?
It's good, man. She's running great. So
far. No issues so far.
No,
knock on wood.
Not so far. Did a little tweaking on it, but
okay.
She's pretty much lined out.
We've been seeing some of the videos you've been posting, man.
I know.
We're gonna get into that a little bit later too, man.
Lord.
You've been spinning it.
Yeah. It's nice to be able to record again, man. It's fun.
It's fun, right?
Yeah, I enjoy it.
I hear you. Let's go over to why do you look so devious up there, bro? let's talk to
hey man, I'll be back, fellas. I'll be back about 10 minutes, man.
Okay.
Hey, real quick, man.
He looks so devious. He
does. You can only see like half his head.
My man Mike, we're about to like 2 minutes of showtime. Hey man, I'll be back. 5 minutes later.
Oh man, all right. Tell it all my business. Go ahead.
Nah,
man.
all
Go
the
ahead.
business. All the business. No, man, I'm good. Go ahead and finish, bro. Go ahead and finish the formalities.
You're already talking, bro. So you must.
Oh yeah, it's too late. So yeah. Kind of.
You've been on the road lately, man, for the last couple of months. What? How do you call it?
Yeah,
gone 5 home 2. Gone 5 home 2.
Yeah, something like that, man. I had to. I don't know. I had to draw the line thing next week, man. I'm gonna have to do a little work from home, but yeah, it's been a lot of travel. And Friday with all the crazy weather, it's been a little weird, but we beat the storms nonetheless. So but so far all's been well. How about you, my globe trotting friend there with the been sending the Cirrus like nobody's business, man. Like
he owned the company.
I'm telling you, man, it should be
give me a
break. A check here in a minute, bro.
CEO of Cirrus. Everybody.
Man, I'm hanging in there, man. It's been real busy, but it's part of life. All's good. Can't complain. And yes, I have been enjoying the Cirrus. It's a fantastic airplane, but we'll get into that a little bit later as well. All right. Let me look at this lineup here. We've got a ton of things to get through. Like I said, we'll start with flight sim. Let's start with flight sim. What do you guys think?
Sounds good.
Bueller.
Man, I'm over here running the chat and trying to be responsible. And here goes Mike with the joke. That's what you're trying to do. got my good eye on you.
I think the last time we spoke, the A320 Neo from Tolis was debuting, so that was cool.
Yep.
It's since been released. I think folks are enjoying it. Great little aircraft. I myself personally haven't picked it up yet, but it is on my list. But while we were, between shows here, from a scenery perspective, the world's been on fire. So a couple of things have come out or are sort of on imminent release timelines here. The first one that I want to talk about is Phoenix. What do you guys think about Phoenix for Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 by I think it's BM World and AMSim and AMSim, BM World and AMSim. I think they are Orbix partners. They recently released the Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport for Flight Sim 2020. I'll tell you personally, this one I've been looking forward to for quite some time. When we've talked about it before on the show. When 2020 first came out, a couple of the major players in the scenery space like Orbix and Flight being released some really, really cool airports like Denver and Dulles, and even Phoenix. I'm sorry, Phoenix, even Portland. But it always, I was always curious as to why, you know, Phoenix was taking so long. Definitely a great airport, especially for me personally. It's one that I fly to quite often, just being on the West Coast for travel and whatnot. And it's one of those really cool, hey, you want a quick 1 hour airliner hop in the sim, you know, to an international airport besides Vegas. I feel like we've done Vegas way too many times across this community, but Phoenix is a really good one, and it's been lacking for quite some time from an availability standpoint in 2020. So me personally, I'm excited about it, and I haven't flown to it yet. Been quite busy, like I mentioned, but it's I have purchased it. It's there, and looking forward to checking it out. I think Johnny, you did fly there though. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, it's because being more, they also am I on mute? Okay, no, I'm not. Cool. No,
it's like one of my conference calls.
Yeah, it's like yeah, I'm still
no, I'm mute.
But no, it's to be expected from this particular developer. I mean, they did another one, and I bought it, and I was actually in the process of looking it up before Mike so conveniently put me on the spot. But so far, I mean, I've been pretty impressed with it. Everything that I remember being there is there. Did I spend a little bit of time? Actually, it's probably my only Class B airport that I was actually able to do touch and goes at in a 172 real world. So it was definitely an airport I've been.
You did touch and goes at Sky Harbor?
Touch and goes at Sky Harbor, bro. Yeah. Now, mind you, it was like freaking. It was like 10 o'clock at night. You know, I was up with the FedExes, but yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, the you know, there's a lot of school traffic in the PHX area, so they're you know, they're quite used to dealing with you know, flight training programs and things like that. So you know, when you're doing a, you know, transition, they're very, very accommodating. Even that night, you know, we were coming back from doing some practice work, you know, down south, and you know, we asked for, you know, see if we can get a couple of touch and goes in. They were like, sure. So you know, really cool airport. And I think one of the things that really kind of sticks out to me with being world, and it's not to say that it's necessary for the overall experience, you know, when we go to these airports, but the little details in the interior, to me,
matters a ton.
Just ties it all together. Yep. And I didn't think I would enjoy it as much as I did until you start experiencing some of these airports that have them. Just the interior modeling. I mean, these are areas of the airport that you're, you know, if you're just doing just regular ops, you're not going to pay attention to it. Like nobody cares what the inside of the airport looks like unless you're like a passenger or whatever. But you know, from a perspective of just overall immersion, it's just, you know, totally completes the atmosphere. And you know, like I said, so far I've been pretty impressed. I haven't ran into any issues as far as the taxiways are concerned. They all seem to be in place, you know, or within spec, so to speak. So but yeah, been pretty impressed with it so far. Looking forward to some more Southwest ops into there with the other airport that I guess we'll bring in talk about here next. But what about you, Charlie? Did you pick it up, man?
Itching.
I've got it. I just haven't flew to it yet.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, just like that mad dog.
Yeah, exactly. It's a sad dog's what it is. Locked up.
It's all rusted up now, man.
I'll tell you. A rust bucket. Reversers ain't gonna work. It's
no, man. Leaking oil everywhere. Heck, there's probably no oil in it now because it's all leaked out.
Had to call hazmat to come clean it up.
You need a can of WD-40 and some, go take it to Jiffy Lube.
Some Kroll.
Some Kroll. Oh my goodness, man. But
Johnny's been ragging me about not getting in the Mad Dog.
Oh man, you know me, bro. Ragging there. Well, I can't say anything because heck, I hadn't flown that what was I gonna send? I forgot. The well, we call it the Yoder jet, but the Honda jet.
Hold on. The Yoder jet. That's Charlie's fault, man.
It is my fault. I'm sorry.
So the inside
Yes.
joke, we'll let everybody in on the joke, so we just don't look just all the way crazy. But Toyota, at times, especially down south, there a lot of folks, use the term Yoder. So
Yoder.
kind of short for Yoda. Yoder. Since we had ER,
Takes too long to say Toyota. We just
way
say
too
Yoder.
long, bro. Way too long. So just call it a Yoder, and so yeah, so. But yeah, I mean, I pick on everybody. But yeah, Charlie, and Mike, definitely worth checking out, guys, if you haven't. So
yeah, I'll get into it one of these days. It's been a while. I think I haven't flown it since the last update. Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while. Clement, currently enrolled for my flight training in Europe. Looking forward to obtaining my PPL and FATPL this year. That is awesome.
That's awesome. Congrats.
That
need
is
some
awesome.
sound effects.
I know.
Yeah.
We say that every show.
I know. Well, we never reach out to our people, and they hadn't emailed us back yet. So
I know those people, man. What are you gonna do?
People. I know.
That's awesome, man. And again, this show, we definitely want to talk about all things aviation, but definitely, again, we're getting to there, but I want to focus on, just overall aviation goals and what are the plans for you guys? Not necessarily this month. I know we said this month, but just in general for this year, like what are you trying to achieve? Even if it's in the sim, what new airplane are you, you've had in the hangar for quite some time that you haven't touched because you're not, not comfortable with flying, or it's hard to learn to fly, just again, it doesn't have to be real world. What are your just general overall aviation goals? Definitely want to hear from you guys. But that's Sky Harbor. Charlie and I eventually will get there and come back and give you guys our perspective on it. But I did load up just to make sure it was installed correctly, like everything you should do in Flight Sim World. Because the last thing you want to do is spend an hour flying to an airport just to learn it wasn't installed correctly. Don't ask me how I know.
How'd you know, Mike?
Same thing happens to me
all the time, man. It's just part of the hobby. But yeah, it looks gorgeous. I am looking forward to flying into them one of these days soon. But that's not all, right? We have and I know I see Johnny slowly smiling here. Another airport that's sort of been asked for quite some time, not just in 2020, but across Flight Sim in general. A real solid rendition of a Dallas love feel. I'm gonna be quiet and let Johnny take this one away, man. But yeah, how you feeling, man? First of all, who's making this airport for you, my friend? For you. Notice I said for you.
Well, you know what's funny? So this was back in the P3D days. We first caught wind of a love field being done. So mind you, we're talking all the way back from FSX. There hasn't been a solid rendition of a Dallas love field, which is just the heartbeat of Southwest, right? So it's like, all right, question marks, why no one's touched it? But anywho, fast forward, there was word of a developer, I Blue Yonder, aka Bill Womack, who's the brains behind it, working on one, and something happened, but ended up getting kind of put to the wayside for whatever reason. We never really found out that, but looks like the project resurfaced and it looks amazing. Not sure if you guys have seen the trailer
out here.
Yeah, be sure to drop that, but just looks phenomenal. And
it does.
I'm elated. I'm just absolutely ecstatic because I'm sorry, just the default. I don't even fly in the love field in sim just for that very reason. Like,
man, it's so bad. Oh my
so
God.
bad. Oh
It's
my
so
gosh.
Bad. It's probably one of the worst ones I flew into
By far.
Seriously, it's that bad?
It's bad.
Wow.
Like one taxiway looks like a grass run. It's just awful.
Yeah, because there's actually a little park on one end of the airport, Bachman Lake, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But it's actually a little park there, and it's just horribly rendered in sim. Like it, I mean, I'm sorry, it just looks bad. Of course, there's been a lot of freeware attempts to try to get it lined up. But I think it's the situation of just getting it to be able to be used on like VATSIM, so at least the runways would be right. more so than anything else. So I'm really excited to see, because it's been, like we and we talk about this all the time here in the show. We get all of our, we get the Tampas, we get the Vegas, we get, San Diego. Like we see constant reiterations of the same airports. And finally, we're starting, we got Phoenix, starting to see these, other prominent, Class B airports that are, that have been neglected for far too long. We even got a really good Memphis from BM World as well. Forgot to mention that one. So whenever we do, see our MD-11, we'll have a place to, have some cargo ops. So, but yeah, just a phenomenal. I mean, this guy has been at it for years. So he definitely did not miss a detail. And I'm coming out of that airport yesterday and going back and looking at some of the screenshots. It is like for like. So definitely looking forward to it. I'm sure all of our Southwest heads out there are looking forward to it as well. And it looks like it's going to be releasing Monday.
Monday.
Can't wait.
It's funny. We talked about that a little bit yesterday offline, right? Like, why are they releasing it on a Monday?
They're not the only ones, though. There's a lot of devs out there that drop them.
And I think it sort of lends itself to something Colin was talking to us about when he was on the show last month. As it relates to just support, right? Sometimes we forget, and I'm guilty of this. There's a team of folks, developers or support people that have to work through the release of a new product, especially in the first 24 to 48 hours to support the product, right? In case people have activation issues, install issues, CTD issues, whatever, you name it, right? If you've been in this industry long enough, you know what comes with some of this stuff. And after working on a project for so long, folks just might want that last weekend to just relax and sort of gear up and prepare for that release. And I think it makes sense to us as consumers with lives and jobs and all the other things that we've got going on to be able to take advantage of it and fly it during a weekend. But that means the folks that are developing it and deploying it will also have to work through the weekend to support it. So there's a little bit of that going on as well. It's easy to forget sometimes. But we'll see. It'll come out Monday. Worst case, we'll get to enjoy it next weekend, and we'll circle back with you all on our thoughts. I know Johnny sure will. So
here we go.
You'll definitely be hearing from us. Let's see here. Oh, you just threw another one in here. Someone's making a SeaTac?
Yeah, they've done it. Yeah, and it looks amazing. Holy smokes.
See here.
Where was I? Like, where? I guess
I think I vaguely remember this. When did this one come out? We'll drop it here in the chat for you all as well. And for folks that are going to be listening to this via our podcast later on or in the coming days, we'll put the links to all of these sceneries and some of the things that we're talking about here as well.
Available at all podcast outlets.
That plug-in, man. You have to.
Absolutely.
Same developers. BM World and Amson.
This
is gorgeous.
Yeah, they definitely put out some gorgeous products.
Because I think I'm using a Seattle in 2020 already, though.
Really?
It might be a Flight Sim 2 enhanced version, maybe, though.
Here's my problem. I don't hardly go to Seattle.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah,
don't hardly go there.
Heck, I don't hardly go west of Texas. Truth
west of the Mississippi.
I can say that for the both of you. I'm trying to get your behinds out west more.
AFW is about as far away as I go.
You guys avoid it like the plague, man.
Oh man, don't know why, man. There's just so much to be had over there on the east side.
However, a lot more density going on towards you all side, so I get it.
However, I mean, between Phoenix and Albuquerque.
They come back this way more.
San Antonio, Austin. Yeah, there's a lot of options out. That's why, especially when I was content creating, I always made an attempt to never go to like the same place within like a month's time. You know, I mean, that's just me. I mean, there's an entire world out there, you know, for the flying, but yet we go to the same places like over and over again. But you know, that's my little rant, you know, and you know, on the weekends when I'm picking somewhere to go, I just kind of, you know, pull up FlightAware. Hey, where's this, you know, airline going? Yeah, and just pick a spot and go, you know. And I mean, there's, you know, I found some really, really very picturesque places, especially in 2020, just by doing that. So, you know, definitely, you know, definitely need to expand our boundaries, which ties into, you know, our goals, you know, short and long-term goals for, you know, aviation related, right? Things to do. So that's
it's
definitely
true. Like I said,
one of
doesn't have to
mine
be
too.
World. Sim in general, you know, go pick a new spot that you've never been to. Maybe it's, hey, let's go fly on VATSIM for the first time or Pilot Edge for the first time. Like there's a lot of different things, you know, you could strive towards to help sort of either improve your goals toward transitioning into real world aviation and continuing to learn and train, or B, just enjoy the hobby a little bit more, take advantage of some of the other things that are out there. We talked about this on the last show as well. Like 2020 just set a new mark as it relates to flexibility and diversity in this hobby that we love so much, with different airplanes, different sceneries, different add-ons and tools, and it's just remarkable the depth in which you can enjoy this hobby today versus not even going back that long, 3, 4, 5 years ago.
Exactly.
It's incredible. But yeah, thanks. That came out in November, it looks like. So I'll definitely have to look into that one.
Yeah, same.
I missed that one.
Yeah, for sure.
My favorite.
Here we go.
Oh Lord. Yeah, I had to scroll.
I'll be right back, Johnny.
30 minutes later.
Oh man. So
shoot me a text when y'all ready to wrap up.
You guys knew this was coming. First of all, you should have never sent me the link. You guys should have just held it close to the chest and let me find out well after its release or something. No, I'm joking. I would have came across it anyway. Listen.
You
guys have heard
like that Seattle, yeah.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Oh,
although
man.
I'm subscribed to any bill, so I would have gotten it eventually.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there it goes. Listen, you guys have heard me rant time and time again about not having a solid John F. Kennedy inside of flight sim. I don't care what sim you point to. There is no true solid rendition of John F. Kennedy International Airport in New York. That bothered me for a very long time because it is my hometown airport. I mean, I don't live there anymore, but you know, growing up and whatnot, that was my hometown airport. When I go back home and visit, that's the airport I fly into, and it's definitely, we talk about this all the time. You want to fly in the sim into places that you're used to, or you know, where you probably first fell in love with aviation and some of those other things. And it's like, it was kind of always weird to me that through the development of new technologies and new sims and new platforms, no one has ever taken the time to sit back and say, all right, we need to improve Kennedy in the sim or just do one in general. But lo and behold, AnyBuilds is working on a John F. Kennedy scenery for Microsoft Flight Sim 2020. I can't even begin to express how happy I am with this one, man, because first of all, it's AnyBuilds. So before even seeing, there are videos and pictures in here already. We'll send a link in here right now for sure. But even if there was none in here for me to take a look at, just looking at the announcement itself, I would have said, okay, it's going to be great. We all know the work that AnyBuilds does. They come correct time and time again. There's not an airport that they've done where I can say, man, they missed a mark here or there. Kennedy, and one of the reasons, I think we've talked to some developers on air as well, right, about, hey, you know, why do developers avoid some of these more complex and dense airports? And quite frankly, a lot of them just said, listen, the renditions or, the sort of the mapping and some of the other things that you need to develop off of is just not available, or is super expensive, and you need all these various levels of permissions to actually go to the airport and take the shots and talk to people and some of the other things that you need when developing an airport. Don't ask me. You guys take a look. We just dropped it in the chat there. Don't ask me how any bills got all of these renditions of Kennedy.
Because they're any builds.
Yeah, there you go. But it's just from these screenshots and videos, I don't see a thing that they've missed. This thing is done to the T. My goodness, they've got the JetBlue hangar over there. They've got Terminal 5 with all of the gates.
Man, I want that daggum JetBlue livery.
Which one? The
one that's got
FDNY?
Yeah, FDNY.
Yeah.
Dude,
there should be one out there.
Really?
JetBlue's got a ton of those. They've got the FDNY, the NYPD one. They've got the Jets, the New York Jets livery. They've got the Boston Red Sox livery. There's a ton of them. They should be online for you to take a look at.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's a nice livery. They've got a couple of those. But I mean, they even got the freaking air train going on here, guys.
I know,
they did not, and it's going to be movable, is my understanding, right? We'll see what that does for your CPU resources. But
I was about to say that's the only thing that concerns me.
And I'm sure they generally
you,
provide
Charlie. Hold
I know.
on.
That NASA computer sitting behind.
Wait a minute. Back up for a minute.
Listen,
how so, Charlie? How so? Just riddle me this, Batman. Like how is it concerning?
She's got to last. I don't want to ruin it in the first year.
That thing freaking talks there. Has its whole CTP logo on there.
CTP
it's got the logo in there. That's nuts.
Whatever.
That is so cool.
Man. That's pretty cool though, for sure.
Yeah, it only cost me 2 kidneys. I had to put a fake one in to get through.
2 for 1 special on kidneys.
That's it. No good, but they're for sale.
Oh my!
But that JFK looks absolutely amazing, though.
It's phenomenal.
Point, oh my gosh! And I agree with you. Like no one touches JFK with a 10-foot pole.
No one. The best one we've had was from
who was it?
Not Drewicki.
Dream Team.
FS Dream Team. Because Drewicki's was okay, but they never had the jetways. Like for whatever reason, in X-Plane, Drewicki's sceneries never have movable jetways. For the life of me, I can't ever figure out why. So that always turned me off, and there were some other things wrong with it as well. But yeah, FS Dream Team was the last one to do a really nice Kennedy, and that was what, 2009, 2010?
Mm-hmm.
Golly,
long time ago, man. Maybe 2011. It was a long. It was out for FSX, so that kind of helps you understand sort of how long it's been. And for whatever reason, they've done updates to other sceneries, but they would never touch Kennedy.
You brought up a good point, though. It had to be like the licensing and stuff, though.
I don't know, man.
All the permissions from all the different companies.
I would love. Hey, we'll reach out to any bills and let's talk through it with them. We'll love to get them on the show and talk through it with them, see how they came across being able to develop something like this. But even like the bigger developers out there as well, like Orbix and Fly Tampa, and who else am I missing? What's those guys that make?
What they make?
Denver and
Flight Beam.
Yeah,
because they've done Atlanta and Denver.
Man, they've done all the major airports in the U.S. between the 3 that I just mentioned, except for JFK. The 3 of those biggest developers, in my opinion, next to any bills now, because they've been racking up these sceneries, have never touched Kennedy, and it's just it was always mind-boggling. But hey, rant over. I definitely just wanted to express my excitement with this. I can't wait till it comes out. Did they post a date on here?
I haven't seen
one.
Yeah.
But generally, if we look at the typical timeline, once you see something from them, it's generally like what, a month?
I was about to say probably about a month.
Yeah.
It'll be here by May.
Yeah.
Bargaining unforeseens. Yeah.
Yep. So
but yeah, Love Field Monday. Boom. There we go.
Look at it all right back to Love Field.
Streams inbound, everybody. Streams inbound.
Oh yeah, so that means Johnny, you're streaming on Monday.
That's right.
Good.
That's negative, Ghost Rider. That's a negative, Ghost Rider. I'm pretty sure there will be
your calendar.
I'm pretty sure there will be a myriad of individuals streaming the Love Field till the cows come home. So Actually, I say cows come home. I hear cows out my window. So yeah.
I think it's true. But one last point, Charlie, you mentioned, being concerned about the CPU usage or just overall performance load on your computer. One of the things AnyBuilds has done a really good job at is providing a configurator as well that can help you sort of tweak and configure certain things on or off to help you save some of those resources. So it should be fine. I know their Newark was pretty heavy for a while, and they've since released a couple of updates to help with that, as well as
what about LAX?
Configurator. LAX was heavy for a while too. Yeah, so their sceneries, when they first release some of these big sceneries, they tend to be a little resource heavy, but generally within 1 or 2 updates, it brings it right down.
Yeah, because that was on my old PC, was LAX.
Oh yeah, and you struggled with it?
Oh, it was. I couldn't fly there.
Oh wow.
Even with the settings turned down, mine was just like, yep.
Wow.
Let me head back to busted that cable. Oh man.
Oh man, Yellow Bus, what's going on?
Hey.
Longtime CTP resident Roberts, man. How you been? What did he say? Was just flying around New York City with Primo and was shocked how we have Prescott and Pasco model, but Mr. Mark and Larcy is like LaGuardia,
garbage.
Yeah, man, that's a really good point. I just think it comes back to some of those, heavily densely populated areas that just either folks just don't have the resources to, get a correct rendition worth, putting it together and putting it in a sim, or B, some folks just feel like, hey, in order to really do this right and to do this accurately, it's going to consume so many resources from the average person's hardware that it's just not worth it. So I think there's a little bit of that going on as well.
Yep, that makes sense.
Yeah. But I don't know. We'll see. Good to hear from you, Robert, man. Hope all is well.
Hope all is well.
30,000+ feet where you fly. Definitely looking forward to having you on and seeing how you've been these last couple of months, man. Hope all is well. So that was Kennedy. I'm excited. I'm more excited about Kennedy than Johnny is about love, but maybe not. We'll
so that means we're getting the stream here soon, Mike?
Yeah. You're going to see a stream. Yep. You guys just wait right there. It'll come up.
Awesome.
Oh man, you guys walk right into that one. Woo. I think we've got one more flight sim topic, don't we? Today VATSIM is hosting their annual, or is it biannual? How do you call it? It happens twice a year in different directions.
Okay.
So technically biannual across the pond event. For those of you that don't know what that is, we will once again drop a link in the chat for you. But essentially, what they do, and you guys can keep me honest here if I misstate anything, is they staff up. Did he say I don't know? This guy, man, he knows very well too. They staff up all of their facilities between pretty much the North Atlantic NAT tracks to allow for folks. And look, Charlie's got it up there on his screen. We'll also drop the sort of the map in the chat for you guys to take a look at just how much volume of traffic actually participates in this event. But they staff up the facilities between the west and east coast there. I'm sorry, between Europe and the United States, generally along the North Atlantic NAT tracks for folks to fly between. It's generally one direction flow. In the spring they do from I think this one is called CTP westbound.
Yep.
Yeah, and then in the fall they generally do eastbound. So they staff up the major airports where you would generally have those big heavy jets flying into, right? So
I'm looking for that random 172 on here.
There's someone trying it. There's someone trying it. You know there's someone.
This person right here is heading due north.
We're not crossing nothing. We're crossing the top of the world. That's what we're doing.
I think it's a fantastic event. It gets you used to, oceanic crossings, position reports, and some of the it's actually real world processes and procedures. So it gives you a little flavor of that for sure. I think just over the years, I just have
it takes up so much time.
It takes up so much time in your day. So again, you're flying it in real time. You're not allowed to use time acceleration or any of that stuff, right? So you're flying in real time. You've got to listen out for ATC because again, you've got to pass your position reports, maintain traffic avoidance and some of those other things. And if you're truly doing it accurately, right, you're watching your fuel burn, you're monitoring your weather at your destination, and in between, you've got your equal time points. It's a whole ordeal if you truly do it the way it should be done. It's fun, just very time consuming, and it always blows my mind to show just how many people participate in this thing.
I can't wait to see the numbers because when I looked first thing this morning, dude, you couldn't even see land over here. There was so much because all the ATC was on. It was unbelievable.
It says it's an average 1,000 pilots, 200 controllers, 50 routes, and 12 hours of ATC coverage. That's
wow.
And I bet they're getting rocked up there around New York with them storms that came through last night.
Yep. And again, that's the other thing. You have to use real world weather. So all of that comes into play. It's awesome. All is well, working hard, but not hardly working.
Way to throw away white shirts. That's right.
Listen, man, we could probably talk about that a little later as well. I heard that's trying to get blocked.
Man, yeah, right? we hadn't talked about that. Johnny,
they are trying.
Oh yeah, man, government done jumped in on that deal.
Oh Lord,
they're trying to block that. We had to dial Robert in before the end of the show, man.
Yeah, right.
Surprise guest.
Long time listener, third time caller. Oh man, yeah, we'll probably touch on that a little bit later, time permitting. But yeah, I heard that's trying to get blocked. That was a couple of weeks ago now, so I don't know if they've come to a resolution. But yeah, Charlie, I think you gave that. You brought that to my attention.
I missed that. Ooh.
Yeah, bro. Yep. So yeah, that's Phantom CTP. We definitely wanted to pay homage to it. Again, I haven't flown it in years, but it was always a good time when I did. You have to remember as well, these controllers do not get paid on VATSIM.
Exactly. So shout out to them for doing
Shout out to them for sure. They're also dedicating half a day or their entire day in some cases to this event as well.
Yeah, it's really neat. A lot of them will start over there and then migrate or whichever way. They'll do different. They'll control different airspaces, the same controller.
Different sectors and everything.
There you go.
Yep. Cool. Let's see what we got. Is that everything, Flight Sim, we wanted to touch on before we move into some other things? Oh, well, we could touch on what happened? What you got?
No, I saw this Bose thing and instantly thought of you. So I was like, well,
before we go to Bose, we definitely got to shout out FS Expo. Definitely looking forward to seeing you guys there. Yeah. June 23rd to the 25th. We've been knee deep in planning. We've got some special things coming with some other partners in the flight sim industry. So looking forward to taking advantage of that and seeing some of you guys there as well. And just in general, man, we're just going to be there, taking in the sights and the sounds and all of the great content that's going to be shared with everyone, just like you all are. And definitely looking forward to interacting with you guys as well. So be there. If you haven't registered yet, go to I should know the website, right? That would help. How about this? If you go to our website, podcast.com, at the very top will be the expo, the Flight Sim Expo logo. You click on that, it'll take you right to the registration page. But the website itself to go directly to Expo is flightsimexpo.com. And if you haven't registered yet, you can use our code Closed Traffic Podcasts for 10% off your registration. So take advantage of that. So that is Flight Sim, I think, in a nutshell. Anything else? Greenlight, what's going on, man? Big up. Good to see you. Hope all is well. Welcome. Looking forward to seeing you at Expo too, Greenlight. Hope you're still attending. Okay, so Robert says they find out on October 23rd. Wow.
Okay.
Holy cow.
It's a long time from now.
That's a long time.
It'll come quick, but it's a long time from now.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. We'll see what happens.
We'll
see what happens. I know there's a lot of folks. I've been on some of the forums and I've spoken with some people. There's a lot of folks that don't want to see this go through. For whatever reason, I won't get into that, but there's a lot of folks that don't want to see that merger. But we'll see. We'll see.
Well, we shall see.
All right, man. You want to shift gears? Real world aviation?
Shift them.
I'm trying to preface this one. I'm trying to preface this one without sounding like I'm going on a negative rant here, because you all know how much
Bose
I
for the
love
win.
Bose, right? I mean, just look at the back. You'd be hard pressed to find another aviation headset of its
caliber.
I'm gonna be careful here because Lightspeed makes a phenomenal headset as well. Makes some phenomenal headsets. So between Bose and Lightspeed, but I think Bose generally edges out, except for recently. But we'll get there in a second. You'd be hard pressed to find another caliber of headset like the Bose line. For your general aviation, you've got the A20s and now the A30s. We'll talk about in a second. But I think for you jet flyers or you much quieter cockpit flyers, they also have the Pro Flights as well. So and I heard those are just as good, if not better than the typical Bose A20s. So if you haven't heard, yeah, man, they're solid. They're not over the air like the A20s, but again, you don't need that much active noise reduction like you would in a typical prop when you're flying jets. At least that's my understanding. I've never flown a jet from the cockpit before. But it's generally, I mean, Johnny would know, right? It's generally much quieter up there.
Well, see, my day.
There we go. And he was still rocking the DCs, huh?
Oh, DCs. Man, still rocking, man. DC is like old pickup truck, man. Start up every time.
Like me and that Mad Dog here later. Big puff of smoke.
No, man. Mad Dog fan for you. We'll probably need some starting fluid for that one. Play a little starting fluid in there. Get fired up.
Oh, man. Thank you. Thank you, Yellow Bus. He says he'll go negative for me. I absolutely hate what Bose put out. Period. They should have done better. Thank you. At least I'm not the only one. And I've seen other comments about it too. So I'll get into it, right? So Bose recently released their A30 aviation headset for you flyers out there, and we'll put the link in the chat as usual so you can take a look. First of all, they let me think here. I think we heard about this 2 weeks ago. At least the general, it hadn't been long. The general audience, unless you were sort of an insider, it was about 2 weeks ago. This was announced that they were coming out with it, and obviously they tied it very closely to Florida's Sun and Fun event. They have a booth there. They debuted it there and whatnot. Then made it available online for purchase through them or your typical resellers out there. The A30 aviation headset is priced at $1,249. I think the A320s, the A20s were priced at about $1,100. I know, right? First of all, when they dropped this announcement, I was super excited because if you guys remember, Lightspeed, what was it, 3 months ago now?
Yeah,
came out with their renewed.
It was back before Christmas.
It was just before Christmas, right? So maybe 4 months ago now. Their renewed line, what was theirs called again? The Lightspeed Delta Zulus.
There you go.
Gorgeous headset. The only thing for me with Lightspeed, I wish they were a little bit more thin profiled, and I wish they had them in black. And that's typically why I've generally stayed away from Lightspeed, but that's just a personal preference of mine. But man, phenomenal advancements in active noise reduction, less clamping force, and they have a built-in carbon monoxide detector, rechargeable batteries, and the entire application that they have for your mobile device as well to help you fine tune your audio depending on, you know, sort of your hearing and your detection, and tweaking the active noise reduction, battery monitoring, if I'm not mistaken, carbon monoxide monitoring, like I mentioned, and then the biggest one for me, yeah, man, being able to in a headset, bro, being able to record record actual cockpit audio, both from your headset as well as the ATC audio coming off of the panel. All of that in Lightspeed's headset and their application. So, needless to say, Bose comes out with this announcement. I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. I'm glad I didn't go and buy the Lightspeeds, because Bose is going to have everything the new Lightspeeds have, if not better, right? Because, you know, they set the standard for aviation headsets. This thing drops, what was it, on Tuesday. Like I said, it's priced $250 more. And to be frank, and it sounds like other folks agree with me as well, Yellow Bus just said so as well, it's definitely thinner, it's lighter, it's thin profiled, less clamping force. I think they did a great job at redesigning it overall. It's a little plasticky looking for me for a $1,250 headset, but I think I could get past that. It looks like a cheaper material than the A20s. But outside of that, they didn't do anything else. There's no app. There's no, again, carbon monoxide detection is definitely a plus. It's something that's super important and critical, you know, that you want to take into account when you're flying around out there, especially, you know, general aviation enthusiasts. But you've got other devices and whatnot that measures that for you today that you can utilize inside the cockpit. But they didn't have that. They don't have an app. They don't have any of the things that I mentioned the Lightspeed Zulus, Delta Lightspeed Zulus have. And they're essentially charging you $250 more for it. Their last headsets, I think the A20s came out 10 years ago. So you're telling me in 10 years, this is all you have to show for a redesigned headset. And again, you're supposed to be setting the mark for
your Bose.
Johnny, you look like you want to say something. I'm gonna let you talk in a second, though. But I'm just trying to tie this up, right? Because it does everything a headset is supposed to do, right? No complaints there. You need a headset, I would still say go and get your Bose.
A20.
If you don't have any Bose right now and you're in the market for a high quality headset and you're willing to spend the money, go get the A30s. Fine. If you want to go in and this is what I would suggest, if you want to save yourself $300, you know, in the what do you call it? The secondary market, if you will, or for those that are going to be reselling the A20s, they're definitely going to come down in price. I would say go get those. They do everything a headset's supposed to do. But if their intent was to get folks to step up and upgrade from the A20s to the A30s, myself and a lot of other people, I think, are slightly disappointed on the product that they put out. And I'm going to leave it there, man. Again, I know, Johnny, you love the DCs. They serve your need and they serve your purpose. So you don't really have, you know, one way or another. Charlie, I know you're kind of into the headsets.
I ain't got a dog in this fight.
You ain't got a dog in the fight, but you know enough to understand, you know, the headsets and what they look like and what other people use and whatnot. But I'm happy to hear you all's opinion. And not just from a headset purposes, like take it to 1,000-foot level, right? Take the fact that it's headsets out of it. Take into account, right? Let's say it was Apple. And I hear folks complaining about this for a while too. The last, I don't know, couple of iPhones haven't really changed drastically enough for you to spend, that's worth really spending money to upgrade, right? So that's sort of how I'm looking at it as well. And iPhones come out every year, so I mean, there's not a ton they can really change from a year-to-year standpoint. So that's their defense. But in 10 years, this is what you got to show for a new headset. I don't know, man. It just I think they could have done better. Rant's over.
Rant's over.
Rant's over.
Man,
I'm gonna say this. It's almost like they seen Lightspeed come out and just threw something together real quick.
Thank you.
To me,
Thank
and
you.
this is I don't have a dog in the fight, but it just something don't add up there.
This is exact. You are spot on.
They said, "Oh no, last year gonna get that daggone market share, man. We gotta do something."
Yep, that's exactly what it felt like.
Because looking at that, like if I'm looking at headsets for my potential PPL, like I'm probably going to lean towards the Lightspeeds.
I would.
You know,
you get
just
more
because
for less
you get
money?
more for less money.
Yeah.
I would try them on, of course. I mean, I'm not going
Right.
to buy something that's uncomfortable, but
Yep. And again, man, you know, the Lightspeeds are, for me, the turn for Lightspeeds has always been they are slightly bulkier than they never really had that slim profile looking.
Yeah, they do, and you can tell.
Yeah.
You know.
That's the only thing, man. If they were to and their Delta Zulus have come down a little bit from a, you know, overall you know, profile standpoint. But man, if they have them in black and they sort of reduced the clamping force a little bit on them and just made them a little bit lighter, I'd switch in a heartbeat.
Mike said, I ain't opening that Cirrus door with them light speeds on. Ain't happening.
Oh man. That's crazy.
You are funny. But yeah, man, I just, you know, I wanted to share my opinion. I know it's not one of the things we typically talk about on this show, but I was super excited for it when the announcement came out. And, you know, me and a lot of other people are just disappointed in what they actually produced. It's they could have done better.
Yeah, I mean, I totally understand. I totally understand your point, Mike. And again, Roxy, what's going on, brother? Hope all is well. But again, I think it boils down to finding a product that serves your purpose, and it looks as if those particular products are marketed to two different types of people. I mean, some folks there are folks out there who are looking for a headset, you know, not a personal assistant, not something that, you know, on top of being able to receive and transmit comms, but wash your underwear at the same time. Some folks, you know, some folks are looking just at a basic headset, and I think that seems to be, and I'm not in Bose's board meetings or anything like that, so I couldn't tell you, but it seems as if the direction that they took was, hey, let's refine a few things and release the product, because as technologically innovative as the Lightspeeds look, there's a reason why they're bulkier. Every feature I see in here with my engineering mindset is another sensor. They got to go somewhere. So obviously the bulkiness is going to come from that, right?
Gotcha.
But you know, I mean, I ain't gonna lie, there's some nifty things in there, but do you have to have them? No. Now, if you're that type of individual that, you're looking into, a product that is, that's, for lack of a better term, set the standard. Sure. I mean, I think the Lightspeeds will be, a decent investment, but, I can kind of see Bose's mindset on the A30s, as disappointing as it may be. Heck, to your point, Mike, again, truth be told, Apple's done the same thing. Samsung's done the same thing in previous iterations of devices. I mean, they'll look at the overall market. Do we see that people will necessarily need a built-in carbon? All those options have to weigh out, because again, for every feature is going to add perhaps a millimeter in length or an additional gram in weight, so I think from a holistic perspective, I kind of get where Bose went with it, but again, to I mean, what are the A20s going for right now in price? I mean, I don't follow Bose like
they don't
that,
sell,
so I
well,
don't
they're
know.
not going to sell them anymore, right? But they were
Oh,
1100. You
they're
can get them in
phasing.
the aftermarket. They do those again. That's why I keep liking them to Apple. They do the same thing Apple does. Is they'll pull
Yeah,
them once the new ones
phase it
release,
out,
and
phase them out. Oh,
you've got
okay,
to
that
go
sounds about
buy them
right.
somewhere else. And I get your point, Johnny. But why sell them then for almost $200 more than the original version if you're not really changing much, right? Because of the fact, to your point, right? The more you put in the headset, the more it sort of takes you away from what your initial goal was to begin with when you first started with building these types of headset, is that low profile, sleek looking, less clamping force type of headset for your general aviation needs. And you've got the same technology in it that you had before, more or less. Why are you selling it for $250 more? You didn't add any real new capabilities. And I think that would have been an easier pill to swallow if you're saying, okay, this is the next generation of the headset we built on top of the A20s, and you're pricing them at about the same price.
Because they know their brand and folks buy them.
See, there you go. That's it. Outside of that, to me, like, and that's what I think is sort of, at least me personally, kind of makes it a little bit disappointing. They've priced them as if they've added some sort of revolutionary technology in these new headsets that they didn't really have before. And all they did was make it a little bit lighter. And to be honest, those freaking headsets I have now are light as hell. They're great, right? Am I going to spend another $1,250 to have it a gram lighter, if not less than that? No. And they made the active noise reduction sort of customizable. Do I really need that? No. So that's I think that's more or less that's sort of what it is, if you ask me.
Right. Roxy brought up a good point as well, especially in this economy, there's not a lot of, folks tend to, not have the excess capital, that we used to have or, or not.
Yep.
So that all plays a factor in as well. That's a really good point, Rock City.
Absolutely.
Which, again, that goes back into, what class of product are you even looking at that point? You know what I'm saying? I mean,
right.
But yeah, I mean, if I was in the market for one, I would probably, well, man, personally, I didn't care for light speeds either, but, but if I had to choose between Bose and Lightspeed, I would probably do the Lightspeeds just for the fact of, if you're in that market, for that caliber of headset,
That's true.
mean, it's just, it doesn't, for what Bose is offering, it doesn't seem to make financial sense to me. So
yeah, great point, man. Like I said, generally, right, you just want a typical aviation headset. DCs are the way to go. They last forever. What's the max cost on a new DC these days? $300 or something like that?
Heck, I don't know, man, because they got DC-1Xs, bro. They're up there in price.
But I don't think they're more than like 500. They're half the price of your typical Delta Zulu C350. Because I looked into them. They, if I wanted to get some cheap headsets from cheap, $350, not cheap, but you know what I mean, rather than buying additional Bose headsets for passengers and stuff. So you are spot on. I think what I'm talking about is if you are in that market and you're willing to spend that money, it's how much?
$895.
Really?
Gosh.
What'd they do?
Let me drop it. That's their active noise canceling offering.
Oh, that's their offering.
That's their attempt to get in there. You know what I'm saying? But to your point, like I said, at that point, you might as well get, you
might as well step up and spend $100 more and go get the DCs. So the DCs,
the payment plan is third party yellow bus. What, bro? No, man.
What's even more crazy? The payment plan is third party, which I'm sure interest is. Oh yeah, man. Yep, that's what they've been doing. That is what they've been doing. Yep. It's nuts.
Oh man,
it's nuts, man.
First time flyers, going in there for that for that first day of ground, and the flyers like can pull out your A3, your A30 box or whatever. Yeah, yep. But I mean,
hey, more power. Teach their own. I just, I'm just trying to put some some sense to this is all, but we spent enough time on the damn headsets. Let's keep it moving here. What else do we have on here?
Oh, let me just see here.
Oh my gosh.
I
think that
that was it.
That was it.
That was it.
Look at Charlie looking at headsets.
Yeah, man, I'm checking them out.
Make his feelings known on those headsets, man. But no, I get it.
Hey, Mike, give me your credit card. I'll just go ahead and send these A30s.
That's it, bro.
Oh my gosh.
Payments as low as $105 a month.
Man,
As how much a month?
It says use Klarna.
Yeah, that's the third party
Yeah.
nonsense. You should concern yourself with that level of Bose. If you're buying a new airplane, those headsets are part of the delivery. Yeah, like the Cirrus. I think the Bose comes standard with the Cirrus deliveries.
Yeah.
Heck, that ain't that bad though, man. They offered 0%, $104 a month.
Oh, it's 0%?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I guess, bro. That's a whole nother conversation.
You putting a payment plan off of some headsets, bro?
Shoot, man, that's what we got to do around here. PayPal at 4? Yes, sir.
Hey, just go get yourself some DCs and call it slick, bro.
Call it slick.
Heck, I put them on payment plan.
Hell, that's still 3 months to get done versus paying that thing for a year and a half.
A year and a half, bro. You done paid your house off, house note, bro. And to make that Bose payment.
I can't buy that. I can't buy that JFK. I gotta make that Bose payment.
Hey, yo, that's with the credit chat, bro. So if your credit, I'm sorry, Sam. You're going to come off of that at 1,200. Oh man,
up front, man.
Hey,
I'm gonna turn on some AC. It's getting hot.
Yeah, man, you making us laugh, bro. I gotta turn the fan on.
just to pivot real quick. Yeah. I was
sorry, y'all. With you guys, man.
No, man. I was I saw an article on Flying Mag. So I'm not sure if you guys, and since Yellow Bus is in, maybe he can chime in. Did you guys hear about the incident on Southwest flight where I think it was a captain or one of the flight crew members became incapacitated, and luckily someone was there, off the pilot, deadheading or whatever. Yeah, he was there to help him out.
No, I didn't see that.
I heard about it, but I didn't get to read about it.
So it brought up the conversation about single, in the terms of the operations that most large carriers, the part that they operate under, single pilot operations, and the unions immediately shot that down. Let me see if I can get you guys.
Shot it down 4 or shot it down?
Down 4. Yeah, that's which, to their point. I mean, I totally agree. Let me get you guys a link because we're like totally.
Because I'm not tracking. Are they saying the union is for single ops, or they're saying
no? They say it's a profit driven scheme. Is
definitely.
So
you paying one less pilot and making the same amount of money. You're reducing your overhead. Of course, but what is that in compared to the actual level of safety? And single pilot ops, a profit driven scheme, pilot union says.
Right.
Let's see. Only one profit risk to safety. I agree, man. I don't think we're there yet.
Not yet. No,
we are not there yet.
No, not yet. So, and which brings me to another question. So, if you guys were in that situation, you know how much we send the PMDG 737, right?
Here we go. I know what question is coming. Here we go.
What would you guys have done? Would you guys have just raised your hands like, hey, let's send it? I watched a few streams with the PMDG.
I watched a few streams.
And I'm ready.
I've flown it. Not even I've flown it to say I watched a few streams.
I'm ready. Let's send it. What would you guys have done?
I wouldn't have said I could fly it, but I would have jumped up and said, "Hey, let me handle the ATC for you."
Let me run comms.
Yeah, I can do something, but I ain't putting my hands on that yoke.
I mean, if there's literally no one
check out my videos. So when I come in, I come in.
That's the least I can do is help run comms. I'm with Charlie. Yep.
Oh yes.
I'll help you run the comms.
Let me hit them landing lights for you. You know,
I know where the lights are. Yep,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just don't mess around and disconnect the AC.
Exactly. Lights and comms.
Oh,
people are scared.
might,
What would you do,
true.
Green Light? So Green Light, I know you're
true.
licensed, right? I mean, what would you do?
But at the same time,
Keep
it's
that
just
spot on the logbook open in case.
Robert's like, send it.
That's it.
But
even so, he made a good point about a real situation. I mean, could you sit there and not try to help?
No, I'm not gonna.
You know what I'm saying?
Again, it's
a catch-22.
Yeah, I'm raising my hand, bro. Like, if there's someone else more qualified, have at it. But if that guy truly has no help in there and no one else has no idea what's, send me in, coach. Yeah. I'm trying to survive, right?
We're gonna see just how close that toilet is.
Exactly. And don't let it be an Airbus. You know Mike's in there. Don't let it be an Airbus. I might even convince me to let me do the landing. Don't let it be an Airbus.
Oh man!
Mike walks in the airplane. Look, hey guys, private pilot. If y'all need me, I'm in the back.
I'm in the
back. Nah.
Oh
shoot,
man!
If it treat it as emergency, imply your ADM. Yeah, man. I mean, that's the best you could do. There's really nothing else.
Nope.
Really nothing else.
Yeah, no, it's 100% facts. No, I was reading it and
scary
traveling home, and I was like, man, because it happens. I mean, as much as one does to make sure you're healthy and you're safe to fly, things like that. Things come up. I mean,
absolutely.
And unfortunately, they tend to come up in the most inopportune times, like when flying an airplane. Because I think there was an Embraer.
The captain was incapacitated.
Right.
And the FO had to come back in to make a landing or something like that. Yeah.
Single pilot. So at the end of the day, you have to depend on your basics and the ratings you have. Absolutely. And again, I mean, airplane's an airplane, so just like driving,
I don't know about that, bro. I had some serious woes this week.
An airplane's an airplane. Now, granted, that's like, from a car to like driving an 18-wheeler. Now, of course, learning where you are in reference to the vehicle and how the vehicle acts and behaves, of course, yes, are different, but the same physics apply, right? So, I mean, just by you having an understanding of that, puts you in a better position than the average public.
Yeah, exactly.
So, with that being said, I mean, like Green Light said, I mean, just treat it as if you would any other emergency, assist whenever you can, and just kind of with whatever you can and kind of go from there, know. But yeah, speaking of your Cirrus woes, what kind of could you care to elaborate on
man, I'm exaggerating, but it's been an interesting transition, man. It's a fun airplane to fly, don't get me wrong, but coming from high wing Cessnas, even a high performance 182, the Cirrus is just a whole different animal.
This is your first low wing, isn't it?
And it's my first low wing, so I've had all of this working against me, right? I'm transitioning from a high wing, transitioning to a 182 is what, 200 horsepower, so 15 more horsepower, but that 15 more horsepower feels like 100 more horsepower. Let me tell you.
Yeah, but what's your weight difference?
So gross weight in the SR is 3150 and the 182 is 28.
Oh, so it's actually I figured the Cessna would be heavier.
Well, it's a little more. The Cirrus is a little more aerodynamically
much more aerodynamic.
Much more aerodynamic. So
you got a much more powerful engine, 230 horsepower. 230, the J model? I gotta look at that. The 182 that I fly at the club is a J model. I thought that thing had is it 230? So you tell me the 182 has more horsepower than the SR20?
It depends on what trim. There's like a million.
There's different trims, and then folks change the engine out, and
folks changing the engine. There's there's 172s with 190 some horsepower in them. So
right, exactly.
I mean,
it's like that AOPA plane that they're giving away. He's got a 390 in it.
Good Lord.
Yeah, have y'all
Where
seen
are they
that
gonna
thing?
No.
Oh, man, here, let me see if I find it.
Wow.
It's ridiculous. I seen a YouTube video of Rebuild Rescue. They flew it into his hangar.
Good grief. Talk about living the dream, man. Wasn't he the fella that bought that Elvis Presley's?
Oh, that's Jimmy. That's old Jimmy.
Oh, okay.
Jimmy down in Florida. Yeah, the Rebuild Rescue guy's the one that got the free 414 that he completely tore apart and is redoing.
Greenlight has me curious now. He about to pull up the POH. Give me a second.
Or let me see if I can find it. AOPA sweepstakes.
Div planes, and depending on how they're designed aerodynamically, which airframe makes the most efficient use of the thrust that is provided. So that's totally understandable.
No, he is right. It's 230 horsepower. So it's more than the SR20 G6 I've been flying. I don't know, man. It feels a lot more powerful though.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, it's slicker. It's a slicker
much
airplane.
slicker.
Yeah.
Airplane. So yeah, it's been yesterday was a great flight. I've got about 2 more flights left to knock out the transition, but yeah, man, the first 2 flights were definitely interesting. Again, you're transitioning from a high wing to a low wing. The sight picture is just incredibly different. And it's a much slicker airplane, but once you get the hang of it, it is a blast to fly. It's been a blast. It's been a blast.
How's the instrumentation going for you?
Instruments going well. I finished ground school. I've got my IFR written next Saturday, so a week from today, actually.
Dang.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, again.
Man, you said you were gonna wait till like May or something.
No, man, I'm knocking this thing out, bro.
Mike said I ain't playing.
I'm just getting this thing done, bro.
Congrats, bro.
Been,
proud of you, man.
Doing the transition training, learning to fly a new airplane and instrument all at the same time. It's been hectic, bro. It's been hectic.
CFI next month, so you can come train me. Right?
Yeah, multi. Yeah.
I don't know about that. Probably
CFI,
multi.
CFI by the end of the year. Then next year, me and you'll start our training.
All right, let's do it.
On you, of course. On you.
Greenlight says he's flown the 22 and SR20. What do you think, man? What do you think? Appreciate it. Thank you. What do you think? Again, it's a lot of people say the same thing. It's a different animal, but once you get used to it, it's a really easy airplane to fly. But you've got to be on your speeds. Generally with any airplane, right? That's key, especially as it relates to landing and a stabilized approach. But that's
I look at the Cirrus like the Corvette of GA. It just has that look to me.
It's curb appeal, man. It's just ramp appeal in this case.
Yeah,
it sits like a Corvette. The doors come up like they've got the butterfly doors on them. It's a gorgeous airplane, man. I can sit here and talk about the plane for an hour, but it's fun. It's a fun plane. It's been fun. Looking forward to doing some videos soon as well for the channel here. You guys definitely subscribe if you're not already to our CTP YouTube channel. Where is my link? There it is. Close Shop It Podcast.
I'm trying to find it now. Yeah.
There it is. If you have not already, and then for those of you that are not familiar, we also got our website. So definitely tune in, closeshopitpodcast.com. So again, like I mentioned a few weeks ago, I'll continue to provide some updates on how that's going and whatnot. We'll get some videos out as well of us flying the Cirrus, doing some instrument work, and should be a good time. Should be a good time. Johnny, what you remember about your instrument, man? What's the unique aspects of your instrument training that you recall?
I like them. Hold on one second. I'm gonna dive into that.
I like them. I do think they're overrated. Oh yeah, Greenlight.
Yeah, you spot on, Green.
We can spend half an hour on that one too.
We spent hours on this.
We have, yeah. Because we've sat there and done the math, man, and just. But I would say if I had, an airplane, such as that to train in, I think that would just, as much as I, been a Cessna guy or whatnot, that would be amazing, especially with the level of situational awareness. And I think, just to circle back to the instrument, that was my deal, was situational awareness, because, there wasn't as much glass as there is now. And so a lot of the maneuvers that you were doing,
full on, man,
you had to visualize them. You had to really get comfortable with visualizing what the airplane is doing in relation to the fix. If your hold entries, you're like you using your thumb, to try to, it wasn't, it was, you didn't even have like EFB or anything. Cause I think, a lot of the EFB products out there will, help you on your holds, DME arcs. We're not even going to talk about NDBs which thank the Lord that, thank you. They're gone. So, I would say that was probably my biggest hurdle was, hey, let's do let's approach the DMER. It's like, oh crap, and but from what you're telling me, you can utilize all resources that you have available to you, including your avionics,
just like your private pilot or any other check ride, it depends on the DPE you get. There are certain DPEs I've heard, even for your private pilot, that will take the iPad from you. You can't use, for flight or moving maps. My private pilot, my DP didn't do that. So at the end of the day,
I kind of disagree with that though, man.
I do as well, because the FAA also, there has been notices sent to DPEs that tells that FAA has told the DPEs that they're supposed to allow those, but you get your, and I say this not in a disrespectful way, but you get your old school rugged DPE, from the Wild West days,
flying 727s for Eastern back in the day.
727s for Eastern Airlines back in the days that don't want to hear nothing about it.
Right? Nothing.
Put the iPad in the back seat. anymore. Charlie, man, I agree with you, bro.
FAA, call me. I'll fix your problems.
Hey, man, be careful. I don't know, but we're in 2023. They might, they just might do that.
Let old Rip get a hold of them.
Let old Rip get a hold of him. The train station.
I think every student should do IFR and a 6-pack. I see. Man,
see, that's what I was about to ask Johnny. I was about to ask him that. I was about to ask you something like that.
Do I think? Well, see, the thing is, man, I don't know, brother.
I think every student should. Oh, I'll let you finish. Go ahead.
No, it really. So, as far as that is concerned, it really boils down to and this is just my opinion. Everyone learns differently, right? So if I can make you a safer pilot using glass rather than utilizing a 6-pack, and you'll have glass available to you during your normal, exercising your normal functions. Sure. Now, do you need to be familiar with a 6-pack and how it operates and, developing those scan techniques? Absolutely. Because a lot of the glass as far as the configuration is based off of, the general orientation and the placement of, the old school 6-pack design. So, it's just it's one of those things, because it's like, oh, back in my day, I joke with Mike all the time about it, but putting myself in his shoes and going through instrument in this day and age where it's hard not to find anything with glass, I would say I would agree, and I would probably be those that DPE who would of course ensure that the ticket candidate is comfortable, he understands the basics of the scans and the functionality of 6-pack, things like that, but at the same time, if you have an aircraft that's equipped and you're able to safely utilize it, then sure. And Greenlight says, yes, if the automation fails, you appreciate the old school. Absolutely. Yeah, that's true. But that's when having that good oral, right? Making sure that student understands the maneuvers and what's going on around the airplane, and what's going on in each maneuver and procedure that you do. And, hey, let's say if you lose your glass, if most, they, can you use your standby instruments, things like that. So, and most glass systems, they come with, quite a bit of redundancy. But to your point, I mean, me personally, as far as what I'm more comfortable in, I think I'll always be more comfortable in a, standard 6-pack panel configuration than anything else. But that's just why that's just why I cut my teeth on. Right. So, I understand both points, for sure. And absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, if all that fails, let's say we lose all that redundancy, you got to fall back on those old school, stick and rudder skills. And we're not even talking about losing all that in IFC. So, but again, there's, a lot has to happen, in terms of, failures and things like that. So, yeah. And I think that's actually what, Mike's been going through now especially with the systems, understanding the various levels of redundancy and that they have available in these aircraft nowadays. Sorry, Mike, that was really long and drawn out, but I'll shut up now.
No, man, it's spot on. Shut up. I was tracking everything you were saying. It's spot on. I think we also have to remember, like, let's not act like 6-packs can't fail us, right? Mm-hmm. Your static port can get blocked. Your pitot tube can get blocked. Any instrument can fail you. Yes, we always say the glass cockpit has a tendency to sort of put you in a more of a bind because it's relying on other facilities as well, like your air data computer, for instance. But it's still getting that information from the same place as your 6-pack, right? Those instruments outside. So those sensors outside, I should say. I think I can't agree wholeheartedly that everyone should learn on a 6-pack. I did for my private, so I don't have a bias one way or the other, but I'm just thinking about, and it sort of goes back to the same DPE argument as well. Here's how I look at it. You should be testing the candidate based on, obviously, like Johnny mentioned, in the event something fails, do they have the situational awareness and knowledge, which you can flush out during the ground portion of the examination to understand what's going on and what they should fall back on to get themselves out of a bind. However, at its core, you should be testing the candidate based on how they're going to be flying their everyday mission, right? So at the end of the day, I want to see that candidate using his or her or their foreflight like they would after I hand them this certificate and they're going to take their parents or their friends or their loved ones flying the next day. You know what I mean? You can examine and see some of those, characteristics that they have. All right, do they know how to properly plan with foreflight? What's the point if they can plan with, pen and paper, but they're going to be using foreflight all the time? My DPE made me do both. He said, all right, what do you plan on flying mostly? I said, honestly, I know how to do both, but I'm going to primarily transition to foreflight once I get a ticket. And he said, okay, I need to see you do your, when you come here, right? Because you have to plan all that beforehand. I want to see it done on pen and paper with your typical maps and whatnot, your typical sectional. And then I also want to see how you planned it in foreflight. So there's ways to tell, truly, the aptitude of that student based on what they're going to be flying as they transition into other aircrafts. And speaking of transition, when you look at some of these other schools and clubs and some of those other things out there, agencies that are preparing the next generation of pilots to fly commercial, none of them use 6-pack. I mean, look at United Aviate Academy. Everyone trains in an SR-20 G6 Perspective Plus Avionics package. Like, again, I am sure they have to walk the students through the familiarization of a 6-pack and how it works, because to Johnny's point, that all transitions to glass. But your next generation and future pilots that's going to be flying you on your next business trip or vacation in 5 to 10 years, guess what? They learned just on glass. So
does Emirates. Isn't that what Emirates uses?
All of them. All of them. United Aviate Academy, Delta Propel, all of those schools out there. Who's the ones in Arizona and all over the damn place?
ATP.
ATP. You know, again, they've got their versions of this, but most of it is glass. So that's how we're transitioning and teaching the next generation of pilots. Again, they should be familiar with the six pack, but I don't think they should have to be forced to actually fly and learn on the six pack. But that's just my perspective.
Yeah, and you know, fellas, that's a touchy conversation, and I have a conversation I've had numerous times, and I will say over the years, you know, my perspective has transitioned a bit because again, you know, like I got the majority of my ratings back in 05. I mean, there was no perspective or anything like that.
Yeah,
you know, yeah. I mean, we had and when I tell you, fellas, you couldn't even book it because it was so new. Everyone was trying to get in, and we had just got a G1000 172 SP. You know, and even then, you know, I mean, no one was really, you know, doing much training with it. I mean, it was an aircraft that they got folks checked out in, and they ran it out. But for the most part, everything we had was six pack. However, the way technology is moving, analog gauges will at some point start to work themselves out of the equation. That's just the way of things. That's just how it is. You know, I had to come to terms with it. Right. You know, you start looking at some of these modern airliners and like, what do you see? Like even the standby instruments are glass. So
if you was to start, if you'd had no training, you were going for your IFR, Johnny, now and today, which one would you use?
Whatever was cheap and I have available to me. That's just me though.
Money's no object.
Money's no object.
Money's not an object. Would you still want to do the six pack, or would you want to do kind of like Mike's doing and go over to the glass?
I mean, if it was available to me, man, heck, you know, why not? Right?
Yeah. No, I agree.
You know, but like Greenlight said, he was like learn on a 6 and then transition to G1000, so you should know what's going on.
Learn that during ground.
System it has if you do have a system failures, your foundation is stronger. I understand that makes sense. Sure. Yeah, I understand that for sure.
I mean, that's what instrument flying is, right? They teach you partial panel flying, you know, what happens when you fail this instrument or where you should. I mean, it's the same concept. At the end of the day, your glass is telling you the same information your six pack is telling you. And this whole adage of children of the magenta line, you'll hear that a lot, right? With folks who, you know, are against learning on a glass cockpit or whatever. Makes no sense, man, because if you get into IMC, you're still doing the same scans. You still got to look at your airspeed.
I think what Greenlight is referring to, and I have heard incidences of this as well, and I think it's more or less not in fault of the technology, but you know, you get a level of fixation. Right, you know, let's say you got a pre-filed, you got your flight plan in there, and you're chasing that particular line instead of, I guess, trying to figure out the best way to put this. Instead of fixating on that one particular bit or blip of information, expanding your scan out to encompass everything that your avionics is giving you. Instead of, following that flight director or just following that, utilizing every bit of information that your avionics is getting, is giving you. Cause just to scroll back, was kind of making sure, I mean, this is a good conversation. And, I think it's a conversation that that's been way overdue. He said that, here in AZ, I talked to a DPE that says, many students have a problem with the six pack scan. They look at that magenta line. That sounds like fixation to me.
Yeah,
which, that's behavior, right? Yeah. I think that's a behavior that
1,000 feet boom nav.
I mean, we all get, we all are, if we're not prepared, we all can, fall into that trap. But I do feel that students need to have a holistic perspective on instrument flying. They need to understand where we've been and where we're going, because throughout their career, they're going to be exposed to various aircraft. When I got out, I went from, having airplanes with top of the line avionics, granted, most of them were analog, right? Steam gauges, but, I picked up a little pipe flying gig where heck, it was missing a nav radios and an OBS, there's like a hole in the panel, right? So, I do feel that, having exposure, whether albeit being ground or, the actual aircraft. But regardless of the fact, I think they do need to be exposed to, partial panels, situations and things like that, which, to Mike's point, I mean, a lot of times you're exposed to that in ground anyway. So, but no, I mean, great points. Green light, 100% agree. It's something that doesn't get hit on. But I do feel that, as we all grow in the industry, that, despite having just a myriad of information in front of us at the end of the day, we still need to understand where that data is coming from. And, in the unfortunate event, it could fail, right? So, where's the video screen? What will you do with a missing radio or missing parts? Yeah, man, I did some pipe flying. Again, this was years ago. Did some pipe flying for the solo operator, and I'll never forget, it was old 1A2, and OBS was gone. Had no OBS. I was missing. There's a couple of other things that was missing that won't want to elaborate on the show, but yeah, it was definitely a partial.
I mean, like, after I ain't listening, bro. Let me.
Oh man, but hey, you live
at
and you
night.
learn, right?
IMC and all this was missing, but I'm gonna stop talking
Hey
right now.
man, this was this was gotta go.
He gone.
Oh man.
Oh
But
my
good
gosh.
stuff, guys. Good stuff.
Man, hour and 30.
Johnny's been trying to buy that plane for about 5 years now.
Hey, man, hey. I probably did a good deal on it, brother.
Yeah, man. But $294.
That's exactly in this market. That's exactly what it would go for,
man.
right?
Firm. I know what I got.
$294 firm, bro. Missing everything.
Oh man.
The disconnect, here we go. The disconnect, in my opinion, task saturation with glass and complacency is very evident in the majors because of the exposure. You miss out with steam gauges. Yeah,
That's a good perspective from someone in the majors. So obviously, Yellow Bus, you've seen the people coming up that you're flying with that to the point that I just mentioned, are going to these schools that are only training on glass cockpits. You're saying you're seeing them transition and have issues with task saturation. That's fair. It's one of the things that's called out in IFR as well. I mean, there's a big emphasis of that in ground school as it relates to task saturation and some of the other task saturation, complacency on your glass and the tendency to avoid everything else the airplane is telling you. So
absolutely,
that is a great perspective.
Greenlight says even as IFR asked them about how VOR. Yeah, see, that's the thing. I don't know, and keep me honest on this one.
That you still learn glass or not, man.
Okay,
yeah, you definitely.
Yeah, because we went through all that. How MBB works, radio.
Yeah, because Mike was trying to teach me that.
Yeah,
right.
You still tune it the same way. You still identify the frequency the same way. I mean, that glass cockpit or not, it's the same thing.
Right.
Same thing. If someone has a glass cockpit and they're saying they didn't learn how to do that because
that's on them.
It's the same exact thing.
But yeah, I mean, and I think this is something that we're going to see more and more, to Robert's point. And because I mean, heck, we're all subject to it, right? You develop a level of complacency when you have we have all this information, available to you, I mean, we, tend to get a little lazy, but that's when, that little introspective has to come into play where, hey, we gotta whether it's doing some recurrent or or whatever it may be. But I'm sure we're going to start seeing that more and more, especially a lot of the because heck, is there an airliner still operating now with
with only steam
with
gauge?
steam gauges? I mean, I think that's what I'm I'm saying, like
maybe like in the islands or something. Or I might be funny.
Even then, I think most of them are probably gone G1000s or something. I mean, I remember the MD-80, of course, a lot of the of course the engines were the engines weren't even steam gauge.
Man, that's crazy. You come to think about it, though. I can't think of it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those are, a lot of those are working.
That's where the technology
working their way out.
Yeah,
because I think even UPS and FedEx, a lot of their, and even some of the operators for them, like a lot of their 208s are starting to get converted over to glass and seeing glass.
Getting the new
the Sky Courier.
Man.
Yeah.
Mountain Air just got their 4th one I saw yesterday.
Oh, good grief, man.
Somebody make that for our sim, please.
I'm pretty sure somebody will, man. But yeah,
taking them to shame.
Man, hey, that Tottenham's solid, man.
Man, I flew it earlier, boy.
When do you want the student? Let's see, Robert says, when do you want the student to gain experience and how fast is the issue? I can't right now how many times I almost met the maker. We just need to mentor instead of guess and critique. Good point.
Yep.
Good point.
I mean, again, right? The airlines are at the core of everything they do. They're in business to make money. Yeah. So at the end of the day, they are, and lots of it, they are going to find the most efficient and cost-effective way without, and maybe at times, teetering on the edge of the law to turn you pilots out as quickly as possible. And one of the ways to do that, in order to limit their training time once they get to the majors, is to familiarize themselves at the very beginning of the training with high performance, technically TAA, or as we refer to, glass cockpit, sophisticated aircrafts. I mean, hell, the G6, the Perspective Plus, has an FMS panel, for crying out loud. So from day one on their discovery flight, they're getting used to plugging in waypoints with a keyboard. I mean, that's what it boils down to. I think at the end of the day, at the end of the day, they just need there needs to be an emphasis and a continued emphasis on some of the implications of the technology. And I think that's with everything, to be honest.
Yeah, that's with everything. No, good points, gentlemen. Guys, thanks for the input, Greenlight and Robert, for sure. Don't get me wrong, I love tech. I like the fact that I'm not limited to different part of the world. There's still a lot of 6-pack airplanes, just like they phased that in the BAUS is still prevalent in other parts of the world. Yeah, that's
They've got so I forgot who it is out in Phoenix. Is it Lufthansa? Might be Lufthansa. Someone in Europe has an academy out in Phoenix with SRs as well, SR20 G6s, and those come specifically fixed with NDBs because they still utilize them over in Europe. So
really,
they have to special order them with NDBs.
I have to check that out. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I forgot. I think it's Lufthansa Flight Academy in Phoenix.
I'm sure it's.
But yep, definitely get it.
Yep, for sure, man. It's dang it. So here is how it normally goes for us. Yeah, guys, I got this stuff to do. I got to motographs, this and that. Go ahead, throw down something for an hour, call it slick. No,
hour and 40 in.
Oh, hour and 40 in, and here we go. But this is good conversation, though. And again, thank you, chat, for coming in and engaging with us and providing your different perspectives. And like this is, to me, these are the conversations I feel has a direct implication of making us better pilots, right? From we're out and about and we're like, oh yeah, I remember that conversation we had, here, maybe this and there. So, again, those of you who are listening on podcasts, definitely feel free to reach out to us on the socials. I'm old and I kind of suck at it, but I'm getting better. So definitely feel free to reach out to us on the socials and provide your inputs as well. We definitely appreciate it, and we'll bring them up on the shows we get them. So
indeed, it's been a blast. It's been a blast. Appreciate you all for listening. Appreciate you all for engaging in the conversation. Spur says, I really enjoy listening. And thank you, man. Thanks for tuning in. Mrs. Spur as well. I know you were here.
Love your content as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, man. So I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this. I'm going to
shout out to Spur. Congrats.
Yes. He's been doing running some train simming here lately because he also has some real world experience on the railroad. And it has been an eye-opening experience to see how things are really done. And it's to me, I see a lot of nuances between how things are done in railroad to aviation, like even some of the radio calls, I'm like, so really cool to see that, Spur, man. Keep up the good work and love what you do, my friend.
Keep it up.
Anytime, let's be prepared. Peace, fellas. Absolutely. Indeed. Facts, my friend. Facts.
Well, we're going to sign off here. Appreciate every one of you again. We are looking forward to seeing you guys at Flight Sim Expo, June 23rd to the 25th. Check fsexpo.com. You can go over to our website as well for more details on that. And don't forget to use our code Close Traffic Podcast for your 10% off registration. Yep. Man, any last parting words from you guys?
Man.
Shout out to our good buddies and our partners over at High Performance as well as Extreme Flight Simulation. I know, Johnny, you were in town.
Man, dang it.
Just missed them. You just missed them. We'll have to at some point circle back and get into their facilities and actually partake in some of the great simulation hardware and devices and platforms that they have available. If you're in the Chicago area, definitely check them out.
Check them out.
Flight Simulation. All right, fellas.
Yep, that's it. Well, yeah, I did have one closing remark.
Yes, sir.
So Mike's stream will be hopefully be here soon.
Good one. Stop lying to these people.
Keep a lookout on the socials. It's coming.
Yeah. Signing off before you guys keep talking.